Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. There have been a number of stories circulating in the social media recently regarding Zimbabwe's collapsed healthcare services. One of the stories entailed the late Rungani, who died because the hospitals he was taken to, 3 different hospitals in Harare, didn't have a ventilator. Including Parenyatwa Hospital, one of the 4 referral public hospitals in Zimbabwe. It didn't have a ventilator. A piece of kit that costs $5,000 US. The other stories that have been circulating is the outbreak of malaria in Karoi, where 10 to 20 people are dying of malaria every day. If a big hospital, referral hospital, like Parenyatwa does not have a ventilator, one can well imagine the appalling conditions in the smaller hospitals. Many of the hospitals there do not even have painkillers. The story that was circulating about Karoi showed a little boy was given a bed and there was no mattress on it. That is appalling conditions of our healthcare. One of the ministers, Honorable Minister Tina Machakaire, posted this on the social media, where he was admitting that he had visited one of the public health institutions and was appalled to see the terrible state in that institution, how much people are suffering. In his posting, he was appealing to President Emerson Mnangagwa to take time from his busy schedule to visit some of these public health institutions and see for himself the suffering that ordinary Zimbabweans are going through. It is laughable, of course. Does he really seriously think that Mnangagwa does not know that Zimbabwe's healthcare services have all but collapsed? After all, the collapse did not happen in the last few months or few years. The decline of Zimbabwe's healthcare started way back soon after independence. And it is not only the healthcare services that have collapsed. Education, basic infrastructure, etc., have all but collapsed. Zimbabwe is a failed state. The tragedy is, of course, nothing will change as long as Zimbabwe remains a pariah state ruled by corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical thugs who stay in power because they rig the elections. This is at the heart of our problem. The failure to hold free, fair, and credible elections. Both SADC and the AU sent election observers to Zimbabwe's 2023 election, and they condemned the process as flawed and illegal. They produced a report stating that very fact. Instead of taking the report seriously, Mnangagwa dismissed it with the usual arrogance, calling both SADC and the AU the country's destructors. One has got to wonder whether Zimbabwe has got any friends left out there. If we call our own fellow neighbors or detractors and dismiss their concerns with contempt.
Vana vakatuka ZANU-PF kana ini ndonyanyisa kufara kuita zvakanaka. Ukavona vavengi vako vachikurumbidza unenge uchikanganisa. Ukavona vachiti ZANU-PF yakaipa, farai. You are doing correct things for your country. Homu takaita maelections edu kuna vamwe vaitaura zvisina musoro zvikanzi maelections anofamba zvakanaka ndezvavo.
So SADC and the AU election observers are now being dismissed as Vavengi, detractors. How tragic. I believe SADC and the AU would have denied ZANU-PF political legitimacy following the damning report of the 2023. Was it not for three reasons? The first reason is that CCC, which was the country's main opposition party, decided to participate in the 2023 elections, although the leaders knew fully well that the process was flawed and illegal. And according to David Coulthard, it was so flawed, so illegal, that the only logical step was to step down. And yet, he and his friends could not step down out of greed. He wrote this about the 2013 elections. They went on to participate in 2018. and then in 2023. And they also went one step further and conned their followers to participate in these flawed elections, knowing fully well that participating will give ZANU-PF legitimacy. The second reason is, even when SADC and the AU had produced their damning report saying the election process was flawed and illegal, C leaders, including David Coltart, Fazai Here, and many others, still went on to take their gravy train seats. And some of them even argued that where C had won the seats, these were liberated zones. Yeah, liberated zone, indeed. One of the reasons why SADC and the AU condemned the election process as flawed is that we had failed to produce even something as basic as a verified voters roll. There was no verified voters roll in the whole country, including those areas that the C leaders won. ZANU-PF has been giving away a few gravy train seats to entice the opposition to keep participating, because it needed them to participate to get legitimacy. Indeed, in 2018, Mnangagwa went one step further. He formed this supernumerary body called plead, which was created specifically to reward the losing presidential candidates. They were given vehicles and many other perks to encourage them to keep participating in future elections. Indeed, the enticement was so attractive that the 2023 elections would have been overwhelmed by the number of presidential candidates. And so he introduced a nomination fee of US $20,000. Many of the candidates, of course, could not raise that money. And so in the end, there were only 11 presidential candidates. I believe there would have been even more than that if they had not been discouraged by having to raise $20,000 US as nomination fee to be a presidential candidate. The third reason is that as much as SADC and the AU leaders would have wanted to deny ZANU-PF political legitimacy, they faced the reality that the 2023 elections, the key players were ZANU-PF and C. The same individuals who had played the key role in the 2008 to 2013 GNU. So declaring the 2023 elections, denying legitimacy to that election process would have ended up having to create another GNU, a new GNU. And if you are going to create a new GNU and have the same players who were in the 2008 to 2013 GNU, you've got to ask yourself, is it worth the trouble? If these people fail to implement even one token democratic change in the 2008 GNU, what evidence is there that they will do any better this time? In the circumstance, it wasn't really worth it. So while they produced the damning reports, they did not go the extra mile and deny ZANU-PF political legitimacy. That is where we are as a nation there. I think if Minister Tina Machakaire was being serious, you would have known that it is not so much that Mnangagwa does not know that our healthcare is all but collapsed. Of course he knows it. And if he is serious about wanting a solution so that we can revive our healthcare services, our education, rebuild our decayed, rotten and decayed infrastructure, etc., then the only call that can be made is tell Mnangagwa in no uncertain terms that he must go. Tell Mnangagwa in no uncertain terms that he was not elected by anyone, any Zimbabweans, in 2023, because those elections were flawed and illegal. He is illegitimate and he must go. Free, fair, and credible elections are more than just a right. They are the very essence of good governance. If we want to restore our healthcare, our education services, rebuild our rotten and decayed infrastructure, repair the roads and end this plight of potholes everywhere, then we must address the issue of good governance. We must end the case of rigged elections so that we've got free, fair, and credible elections. That is the essence of good governance. Thank you very much. Have a good day.